Okay. Shalom, 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 Israel. I'm going to give all praises to the Most High God, right? Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. Right, so the word shalom just means peace, right? That's a common saying, right? A common greeting between the Hebrews, between the Hebrew Israelites, right? So today, through the Spirit, right? First lesson, right? 101, right? What is your biblical nationality? Right, we're going to get right into it through the Spirit. Trying to keep these short, sweet, to the point, right? Potent, effective, efficient through the Spirit, man. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. So, Lord willing, brothers and sisters should be able to see the precepts, right? Also on my screen. Right, so the first precept we're going to go to is Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible, right? Chapter 1, verse 1. Right, in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. Right, so we know, right, that the Most High God, right, created the heaven and the earth. Right, and the Most High God created all that is within the earth. Right, whether it be cars, men, bombs, right, things that we can see, things that we cannot see, and all of those things were created. Right, those things just didn't spring up out of nowhere. Right, or a man didn't just think about that 20 years ago. Right, right, the Most High, He had created that since the beginning. Right, whether He created that thought, whether He created that man, whether He created that woman, right, whether He created that tree, right, whether He created all things were created by the Most High God. Right, Acts, right, which is in the New Testament, right, Acts of the Apostles, right, Acts chapter 14, verse number 15, and saying, Sirs, why do ye these things? We also are men of like passions with you, and preaching unto you that ye should turn from these vanities unto the living God, which made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein. Right. So the Most High God, right, created heaven, right, the things that are above, right, the earth, whether that be soil, potassium, calcium, phosphorus, oxygen. The Most High God created all of those things, right, and the sea, whether it be the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean to the squid, right, to the shark, to the goldfish, to the trout, right? And whatever is in the sea, the Most High created that, right? And all things that are therein, right? So we know that the Most High created all men, right, and all women, right? And when we read the Bible, right, when we read Genesis chapter 10, right, there's 18 nations that the Most High created, right? The biblical nationality, right? Is you got Israel, you got Edom, you got Elam, Ashur, Aram. Hey, if these names don't sound very familiar, hey, most high willing, they will sound very familiar soon. Right? As you continue to grow, as you continue to read, as you continue to study, and as you continue to pray. Right? Let's the Most High made 18 nations. Right? We're going to see if one of the nations he made, he called African, right, American. Let's see if this is found in the Bible. Right? Basically, what I just did was search for African American in the King James Version of the Bible, and it's not in there. Right? Let's search for Mexican. Right? Mexican is not in here. The word Mexican is not in the Bible, huh? Let's search for Afro. Well, let's search for Puerto Rican. I see that Puerto Rican is in the Bible. Puerto Rican is not in the Bible. Right? Let's see if Haitian. Right? This one may be it. Haitian. Right? A brother may say he's Haitian. Right? But Haitian is not found within the Bible. African American is a term not found within the Bible. Right? Mexican is a term not found within the Bible. And all of these nationalities and words that we call ourselves, right, are not found within the Bible. Search for black man. Right? Black man is not found within the King James Version Bible. So all of these things that we call ourselves, right? The Most High who created man, who created woman, right? He did not call us these things, right? So we have to understand and see what the Most High called us, man, because everybody has a biblical nationality. Being that God created all men, and women and children, right? We have to see what the Most High called us. Right, so back on this chart, right, the Most High made 18 nations. Everybody on the face of the earth from the past and going on in the future consists of one of these 18 nations, man. Whether they're Israelite, whether they're a son of Canaan, whether they're a son of Magog, whether they're a son of Aram, everybody descends from one of these 18 nations, man. And now it's high time, right, for our people, the so-called African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, to see who we come from, right? And we come from Israel, right, which is in the Hebrew, Yashar Allah, right? Israel, that's our father, right? This is the man that we come from. All of these nations are men, right? And they had sons, and their sons had sons, right? And then they go by their father's name. So our forefather was named Israel, so that's the name that we come after. We're the Israelites, right? Which means sons of Israel, descendants of Israel, daughters of Israel, right? That's what an Israelite is. It is a descendant of the man named Israel, right? Right. So we're going to go to the 12 tribes of Israel, right? Israel had 12 sons, right? These are his 12 sons, right? From Judah all the way down to Naphtali, right? And a Lord willing, right? You'll see what this world calls you compared to what the Most High calls you, right? All so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, and Native Americans. And you may ask, why is he saying so-called? Because that's what we call ourselves. That's what we call one another. That's what this world calls us, right? But according to the Bible, you're not a. We searched up African American. It's not in here. We search up Mexican, right? We searched up Puerto Rican. Those are not in here, right? So according to the Bible, right, you would descend, right? If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, you're a Israelite, a descendant of Israel. The Lord willing that this is making sense, right? You're a descendant of Israel, right? The Lord made 18 nations. Everybody on earth comes from one of these 18 nations. When if you're so-called, and the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans come from the nation of Israel, right? So these are his 12 sons, and each of these 12 sons, right, grew to become a nation. Judah was a physical man, right? And Judah is the so-called American blacks. So if your father, right, let's get this in the book of Numbers. Let's see how we tell which tribe we're from, because some brother may be out there, right, where his mom is from Haiti, but his dad is from Jamaica. Right? What tribe would he be? He has mom from Haiti, right? She's Haitian, but dad is from Jamaica. Right? Let's see. Right, Numbers chapter 1, verse number 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. Right, so your family is based off of your father. And this is the book of Numbers, right? It goes Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, then the book of Numbers. Numbers is the fourth book of the Bible, right? It's the first chapter in the 18th verse. Right, so your family is distinguished by your father. Right, a very easy comparison to this, right, is imagine you have a seed. Imagine I have an orange seed, right, where whatever soil I plant this seed in, right, it's going to be a orange tree is going to spring forth. Whether I go to Asia and plant my seed, right, into Asian soil, if you have ears to speaking metaphorically, right, but the parallel is but the comparison is parallel, which means it's very, very similar. It's the same logic. Right? If I have my seed, because man carries that seed, and I go to South Africa and I plant my seed. I have an orange seed. That's that and that tree is still going to be an orange tree, no matter what type of land or soil that I plant my seed in. If it's an orange tree, if it's an orange seed, it's going to yield and spring up a orange tree. So your nationality, right, is based off of your father, right? You decide your family based on your father's nationality, right? So again, back to the example. If my mom was Haitian, and we see that's Levi, right? But my dad was Jamaican, right? We see that's Benjamin, right? That would make me a Benjamite. I would come from the tribe of Benjamin. I want to go a little bit more in detail into this 12 tribes, right? Judah, American blacks, right? So-called African Americans. That's another term for it. If you're so-called African American, right, you're from the tribe of Judah, right? Benjamin, right? The West Indian blacks, right? We're gonna see what that means. All right, let's pull up map of, see if I spelled that right. That's not what I want. All right, we'll just pull this up there right here. All right, see what West Indian black means. Right, where is it? Okay, here we go. Right, whether you come from the Bahamas, man. See if we can zoom in. Make this as in depth as possible. Right, whether you come from these islands right here, right, Nassau, right, Crooked Island, Turks and Caicos, right, whether you come from Britain, British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Saint Martin, right, Guadalupe, right, Dominica, right, Saint Lucia, Saint Vincent, right, Grenada, Barbados, Tobago, right, Salakia for the pronunciation, right, and Salakia in the Hebrew, that's word just means sorry, right? Salakia means sorry, right? Shalom, right, means peace. Shalom is a greeting, right? Jamaica, right? These, if you come from these islands, right, from these land masses, right, you would be an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, right? Levi, right, which is the Haitians. If you're a so-called Haitian, right, whether you're from Haiti, right, whether you're from places like New Orleans, right, whether you're from places like Miami, from Little Haiti, if you're Haitian, right, you are from the tribe of Levi. Right, let's go to Ephraim, right? If you're Puerto Rican, right, you're from the tribe of Ephraim, right? Whether that be you're from Puerto Rico, right? Well, whether that be you're from New York, whether that be you're from anywhere. If you're Puerto Rican, if your dad is so-called Puerto Rican, right, you'll be from the tribe of Ephraim, right? If you're Cuban, right, whether you be from Cuba, whether you be from Florida, right, wherever you're from, you know, if your dad is so-called Cuban, you will be from the tribe of Manasseh, right? If you're Dominican Republic, if you're from the Dominican Republic, right, or New York or anywhere, right? If your father is a so-called Dominican Republic, right, or Dominican Republican, right, you will be from the tribe of Simeon, right? Then, hey, brothers may start scratching their heads, man. You may be getting a little bit confused. What does it mean from Guatemala to Panama, right? Let's pull up a map of, right, South America. But let's do South and Central, right? So Zebulon, right? If you're from Central America, right, from Guatemala all the way to Panama, from any one of these countries, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, if you're from any one of these countries, right, you would be from the tribe of Zebulon, right? And those are the ancient Mayans, if you're familiar with that. So, hey, if you know that you may be from Mexico, you may be from the north of here, right? But if you know your family has roots, right, in Mayan culture, and you know that your ancestors are Mayans, hey, you would be from the tribe of Zebulon. Gad, right? If you're so-called Native American Indian, you know, a Native American, so-called, right? That's not saying you're American, like European. Now, if you're a so-called Native American, you were here before Columbus came, you know, you would be from the tribe of Gad, right? Seminole Indians, which was predominantly in the South, predominantly in the land we know now as Florida and Mississippi and Arkansas and also Atlanta, Georgia, right? But hey, if you're a so-called Seminole Indian, right, you will be from the tribe of Reuben, right? If you're from any of the countries from Colombia to Uruguay, right, let's show what countries that consist of: Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, uh, Uruguay, right? Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia. If you're from any one of these countries, man, any one of them, right, you would be from the tribe of Asher. Right, so this is a lot of countries: Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Brazil, Uruguay. If you're from any one of these countries, if your dad is from any one of these countries, or you would not be Brazilian, right? But you would be a Israelite from the tribe of Asher, right? Next, right, Issachar. If you're a so-called Mexican, so-called from the land of Mexico, or your dad, right, is Mexican, and he can, and you trace back to indigenous, or you trace back yourselves to the Aztecs, you would be from the tribe of Issachar, right? If you're so-called Mexican, you would be from the tribe of Issachar, right? And last, but definitely not least, right? If your forefathers are from the country of Argentina or Chile, right? Argentina, right here, or Chile, you would be from the mighty tribe of Naphtali, right? Naphtali, right? So this is the 12 tribes chart, right? All so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites. That is your biblical nationality, right? I'm going to go to another precept, which means another Bible verse, right, in Jeremiah chapter 17, right, verse number 4. Right, Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage. Right, so the Bible says that the Israelites, right, God's chosen people, would discontinue from their heritage. That's why when we look at this song, right, you know, it's very plain. We don't call ourselves these names on the left hand side. We don't call ourselves Ephraimites, and you call yourself a Puerto Rican. Right? Why? Because we have disconnected from our heritage. We've disconnected from our culture. Right? That I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies. That's one thing that the Israelites all have in common. All of these nations have served their enemies. Every one of them. And we'll go into that, right, as the videos progress, Lord willing, and as the lessons, right, start to get deeper and deeper, right, we'll explain these things. We'll explain why, right? We'll explain how, we'll explain when, right? Most high willing, we will not leave one stone unturned. And if any brother or sister has any questions, right, you can text my phone, right? You can drop them in the comment section, right? No question is a bad question. None. I want to make this as clear as possible through the spirit of the Most High God, right? And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. All right, let's go to Baruch. All right, Baruch chapter 2, verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. Right, so the Lord said that we did not listen to the Most High because we're stiff-necked people, man, which means we're hard-headed, which means we do not like to listen to instructions. Right, but in the land of their captivities. Right now we're in the land of our captivities, man. I'm from the tribe of Judah. My people, we're not from America, right? I'm in the land of my captivity. I was brought over to America as a slave on slave ships, right? Beginning in 1619, right? That's how my people got here. So in the land of my captivities, because I'm still here, I'm still a prisoner of war, even till this day, right? They shall remember themselves, which means we're going to start to come back to our true nationality, man. The Most High is going to let pour His Spirit out upon the earth, right, and let us wake up in these last days, and let us know that we're not just Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans with no culture, with no heritage before the so-called white man. Right, He's going to let us know that we're kings and priests and God's chosen people, and let us know our true nationality. And the Lord, He made 18 nations. Right, everybody on the earth comes from one of these nations. Right, so this is us remembering ourselves in the land of our captivity. Right, and shall know, and not only Judah is just as in this land. You had these nations. I mean, you had all of the Israelites. The whole reason why we're on in this Western Hemisphere is because we were brought over here to work. Brought on slave ships, right? Or if you're somebody like from the tribe of Gad, right? You're a Native American. Hey, you weren't brought over here to work, right? But you were over here and you got worked, and you got killed, and you got raped, and you got lynched, and you got massacred and murdered and put in slavery, right? So this is still the land of our captivity. We still pay taxes. We still live for the most part paycheck to paycheck, right? Struggling. We still take the bus, right? At any point in time, right, the so-called white man, he could pull us over. When he could send us to jail for a thing that maybe we've done, for a thing that maybe we not have done. So we're still in the land of our captivity. We have to work 9 to 5, wake up early, clocking in, clocking out, you know. Verse 31, and shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. Right, so now we know, all praise to the Most High, we're returning to our God. And Most High willing, I can be an aid in that for brothers and sisters. Because this right here, this is the truth. This is the truth of the Bible. Right? This is the truth of the earth. Right? This is the truth of the world. Right? This is the only place you're going to hear the truth. You don't see a place where I'm asking for money. You don't see a place where we asking for nothing. Brothers do this through the Spirit out of the goodness of their heart, because we want to see our nation, the Israelites, the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, do better. Right? We want to see our people do better. We want to wake our people up, right, and bring them true knowledge, true understanding, true wisdom, right, so that they can know how to maintain in this world, right, and the world to come. All right, this is going to be my last verse. All right, Colossians chapter 1, verse 26. Even the mystery which have been hid from ages and from generations, right? But now is made manifest to his saints, right? So this wisdom has been hid from ages and from generations, man. Not everybody knows this. Not everybody knows that they're an Israelite, that they're not a Negro or not a Mexican. The word Mexican means moon people. So not everybody knows that they're not a moon person, right? But a Most High willing, if you're watching this video right now, a Most High willing, the Most High chose you to know His wisdom, to know His knowledge, to know His understanding, right? Which He made manifest to His saints. So the Lord, He didn't make His knowledge manifest to everybody, right? But only to those that He chose, right? So, Lord willing, you're the chosen, right? Most High willing to take these videos seriously, right? Because this is the truth. Right, this is the truth of the Holy Scriptures. This is the truth of the world. Right, that we're showing our people that our true nationality, given to us by the Most High God. Right, not given to us by man, by the so-called white man, right, but by the Most High God, man. And Lord willing, this is just video 1. I'm going to be building up from here, Lord willing. Right, so, hey, Lord willing, everybody's taking notes, right, on the precepts, right? Lord willing, everything's making sense. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can drop them down in the comment section below, right? Or you could text my phone. You can call me, you can text my phone, right? We can go through it through the Spirit. So, hey, most high willing, this was edifying through the Spirit. Lord willing, brothers and sisters, learn something today, right? Take time to write these things down. Take time to pray and to digest these things. So with that, I want to say shalom. I pray all my brothers and sisters have a excellent day through the Spirit, right? Shalom. Knowing that they're a Hebrew Israelite, right? You got to put down these bywords. Right? Put down black, African American, right? Mexican, right? Puerto Rican, right? Those are all bywords, right? Pick up your true nationality, knowing that you're a Hebrew Israelite and knowing which tribe you come from. Right? I come from the tribe of Judah, right? Lord willing, every brother or sister now knows that they're a Hebrew Israelite, right? And why that matters, and that God never called anybody Mexican, right? And Lord willing, every brother and sister knows their tribe, right? That'll make this thing successful. If everybody knows their nationality, knowing that they're Hebrew Israelite, and will stop calling themselves Black, African American, Native American, but a Hebrew Israelite, and from which tribe they come from, right? Shalom.